Hello, everyone. Welcome to Soulprism Podcast, where we share bite-sized nuggets of wisdom for your body, mind, and soul to serve you, the emerging soulpreneur. My name is Tammy Mack, and I'm really excited to share this today. I'm with Alana Haim, who serves as a cosmic prosperity activator, guiding you to navigate the energetic current beneath your work, life, and money, so you naturally flow in the river of infinite prosperity. Welcome, Alana.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Tammy. I'm so grateful to be here with you.
So, Alana, first off, you are a human design specialist. Can you tell us what your human design energy type is?
Yes. So my energy type is a projector, like you, and I'm a 1-3 emotional projector.
So you're a 1-3 emotional projector. Now, what does that mean? Like, what does it mean to be an emotional projector?
And it's fun because I come from the financial industry where I was a CPA, still have my license, but don't do the typical accounting and financial responsibilities. Because I learned I'm a projector, I can live in my head. So I have head and ajna definition, and then I have willpower, will center energy to the emotional solar plexus. So guess what? What I've been learning is to step more into my body, actually be in my energy, in the emotions, and get out of my head. And having been in the accounting and financial arena, we kind of live in our head. And then that's what we're taught to do, right? To make decisions from our head, be very quick. And what happened for me is more telling myself that I'm indecisive. I'm unable to make decisions because I didn't realize before human design, I'm actually emotional, which means I need to give myself plenty of time and space for clarity to come in, to know what I'm feeling, why I'm feeling, and that it's actually guiding me to make the decisions that are true for who I am. Not what everybody else says I should be, not what my head is dictating and trying to initiate when that's not true for who I'm really aligned and designed to be.
That is so beautiful. The fact that human design gives us the gift of getting out of our head and into our body, and a strategy to use our body to make correct decisions. I really love that so much. And for you to say, like, you're emotional, meaning not that you're emotional, but the fact that, hey, I need time to make decisions. I'm not just lickety split, right? Like, I need time to honor my energy in order to make those decisions, which really does change when you're working the 3D land of like logical and linear and like nickels and dimes, right? To more of a prosperity and flow and redefining what value and worth is, and really our currency. I like to say that our conscious, the conscious economy, the currency is well-being, and no longer our self-worth being tied to our net worth. And I'm curious, how did you make that transition?
Yeah. So once I learned that my energy type is a projector, I'm not the doer. And guess what? As a CPA, I was heavily tied to the doing. It's like, you bring me your pile of information in a shoebox or whatever it is to do the taxes, and I was doing the work. So to realize I'm the guide, I'm the consultant, I'm really the mentor, I'm all of those pieces where my clients come to me, I give advice, I am done. And so it was pretty easy knowing, okay, I'm not meant to be tethered to this system, this way of being. And it's time for me to shift and really move into not having to do any of the work. So again, I don't do the accounting, the bookkeeping, the tax return. And more, I recognize too, like, I was in those systems to learn them in the 3D way so that we can totally shift them into a higher way of seeing money and currency. And again, everybody looks at the net worth, right? Like, and most people don't even know what net worth is. They don't know it's assets minus liabilities, and here is what you have left. And so even in the business world, There's a lot of coaches. There's a lot of people that hype up, like, look at me and I make six figures. Well, making and earning and keeping six figures actually as your net worth is a totally different ballgame, right? It's one thing to be like, oh yeah, I'm bringing this income in, but then not to actually keep it or be able to accumulate it. And so looking at the financial systems, it's all hoarding, right? It is like scarcity and lack mindset at its best, where we're told that if you're not holding this much and you don't have these assets, and then you're not worth anything. And the reality is, we don't know what our value is until we step into it and start to proclaim it. And most of the time, it's like, if you look at a balance sheet and you see that there's not a lot there, or you even look at your bank account and you're like, oh, I don't really have a lot of money. We've been taught to believe that's our worth. And it's absolutely a bunch of crap, because there's so much future potential that we haven't collapsed into the now yet. Right. And so sometimes our past, we think, is going to predict who we are and what we're going to be valuable to receive right now. But you're constantly growing and evolving. And right now on the planet, everything is accelerated. Everything is happening faster and faster. I was just telling someone, it's like we're in the washing machine, right? And we are on the spin cycle. And part of us are like, okay, when does the cycle end? Like, when do I get out and get to go in the dryer? Because everything is getting the opportunity to cleanse. And so if there are people in your life who don't value you, you're probably having experiences show up for you to really stand true in, ooh, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel aligned. This person doesn't value me. And when you really look inward, you go, oh, well, I'm not valuing me. So of course they're not valuing me. And it's time for me to clear that and actually stand in my power and say, no, I'm not going to be treated this way, or I'm not going to allow you to do these things anymore. And then suddenly you're going to start standing in your value and bring in and attract more of the right people, the right resources, whatever it is that's here to support you and your value and your worth increasing. You're dictating that, and you get to choose that for you.
That is so beautifully said. There's so many things that I want to talk about through there. The one thing that you were saying is, you're always going to be in debt if you don't give yourself enough credit, right? And so many of us don't give ourselves enough credit, or we look outside of ourselves for validation instead of confirmation. And so I loved what you were saying is like, stop basing your value on what other people think or what other people are doing, or what, you know what I mean? Like, really come into your own sense of self-value and self-worth and sovereignty, and vibrate that out and allow those experiences to really show who you are, not who we were conditioned to be or how other people treat us. So one of the things that you were saying, which I thought was so beautiful and so true, was like, I had to go through this path of being a CPA to learn the lessons from that, to gain the wisdom from that. And then when I brought that into this higher aspect of who I am, I got to use those tools to bring it further into life. Because I believe that we're conditioned for a reason, right? Like we have to go through these lessons, these things in life in order for us to really know ourselves so much more, and to really bring those tools that we learn into higher vibration and use them to serve. So I loved how you shared that.
Everything is a journey, and most of the time it's like, whoever you were told you're not is actually who you are. So your whole life, you kind of like, and again, you could have had gifts as a child, whether you saw things, you heard things, just intuitively, you knew things. And then everybody's like, no, you don't. You're crazy if you say that you do this. So we learn to hide it and be like, ooh, actually, I don't do that. And so everything is like that along the way, that people in our lives distract us from who we're meant to be, or they help to make us take the detour off road and go off our path until we get to this place where we realize, oh my gosh, like human design, gene keys, this is telling me that this is actually me. Like, I knew that. I knew this was what I was good at, but everybody was telling me, no, you're not. No, you shouldn't do this. You can't make money at it. You actually won't be very valuable, because they didn't know how to use that. They didn't have that gift. And so just because there are people who are artists and didn't make money doesn't mean that where we're headed and how everything's evolving, that you can't make money being the artist. And that's somebody else's perspective. That is somebody else's life journey. And the more that we recognize, wow, I actually really am good at this particular piece, and I want to take what I've been doing and incorporate this. This is where the gold mine happens, because your creativity really comes to life. You feel good because you know you're here to be of service. You're acting from this place of alignment, just knowing who you are. You're doing things nobody else is doing. And it fascinates me, because I've had experiences where even when I started my business, Prosperity Alignment, I literally had someone say, is this like an MLM business? An MLM is those like, marketing, multi-marketing level things. And I was like, what? No, like this is me. This is like what I'm creating. And it was just so hard to fathom, because most of the time you see the world and everybody's just jumping on a corporate bandwagon, and you just do work that everybody else is doing, except we're all coming online to realize that's burning me out. That's not who I am. I don't want to do this. It's not sustainable. I don't have sovereignty here. I have to follow these rules, and like we're all breaking free to go, oh, let me create something that I truly love, that really exudes the energy of who I am and is here to help elevate people on the planet. And it's like, people might not get it, but they just start attracting in. And suddenly your value of what you can contribute on the planet is exponential. You don't even know your potential until you start to let it come and shine out in the world.
That's so beautiful. It's funny. I went to school when I first out of high school. I went to school to be an accountant. And it was funny because I took all the business classes in high school. I took entrepreneurship and accounting and all that kind of stuff. And the two things that I really, really enjoyed was accounting and marketing. And when I went to business school, I went to college, I found out I was dyslexic. And so I gave up on that dream completely. I thought, okay, I can't be a businesswoman because I can't, put the numbers in properly or the words in properly. So I gave up on that dream. But I always had, so our dreams are like a seed within us, right? And I needed to go through this journey to realize that, yes, I can be a businesswoman and I get to define my own terms. I get to create accountability or accounting in any way that I want to do it. It doesn't have to be as a CMA or a chartered accountant. Like I get to use those tools that I learned, and which I absolutely love doing, in a very different way, like what's aligned with me and my human design chart.
And it's so crazy. It's exactly like, that's exactly the story, right? So here everyone was like limiting you, saying you don't actually have this potential. You actually suck at this, or you're not good, or all these things that suddenly like come into your thoughts, and just kind of knowing your design. It's like, those aren't your thoughts, but you would have had them and felt them and then thought they're yours, and whether you held on to them and then believed, ooh, I really can't be the accountant because I'm dyslexic, which means I can't be good with numbers, or I can't be good with marketing words. And the reality is your soul and all these parts of you are like, actually, you are infinite in everything that you can do. You can do anything you want. You absolutely can evolve what this even looks like, right? And for you to start seeing where the accountability instead of accounting, or just like seeing these different dynamics that you can bring to light, that the old 3D world was just like, nope, that there's a brick wall. You need to go find a new path. And And you didn't. And every one of us has had those stories. And it's so like heartbreaking in a sense, because then we dip down into this space where we think we're less than. And that already starts to really like tether your worthiness to those beliefs. And until you cut them and free yourself, we think that we're not worthy when we absolutely are.
That's so beautiful and so true. And it's definitely something that we all, grow into, right? Like that's what conditioning is all about, is being told a story. And then when we, question, is this really true for me? And start creating our own story. And that's how we become the creatrix, right? Is creating our own story in alignment with our truth, our values, and our own self perceived worth. Because let's talk about the will center a little bit, because the will center is a place of being resourceful, but it's also a place of, I find where our self-worth lives is in the will center. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So the will center, where we have resources and value and the worthiness piece. And you and I have it defined in our charts. So I know that I take great responsibility, and it's up to us to be accountable for how do we share this energy, because others are going to feel it from us. And a lot of times in human design, we talk about, well, if it's undefined or it's not colored in for you, you don't have it consistent, you're going to feel it from everybody else. And there's kind of a victim story that happens when people describe that, where they're like, oh, I'm just going to be at everybody else's will center and feeling it. Well, no, there's great power too in knowing you can be the Jedi to feel the energy and recognize when it's yours or not. And if you and I feel unworthy and we're sharing that, well, that's us that needs to work on our worth so that everybody else can start to step into their own worthiness. So when I have clients that have it undefined, I'm constantly sharing, okay, you have it undefined. Part of your superpower is you feel the worth of others. You feel if they are worthy or not. And it's not your energy. And so recognizing that discernment, what's yours, what's not, is such a huge piece just in general, because we all struggle as a humanity, as a race, as a people with our worthiness. Because if these lower vibrations of fear and lack and scarcity are constantly pulling us down, they want you to be in that unworthy place. Why? Because they have power over you, right? And this is a very powerful center where I always say, I say what I mean and I mean what I say, which means I have to actually walk the talk. I don't get to just say, oh, here's what you should do. No, I have to actually go walk the plank first and then say, come if you want. But, I have to be in it and actually commit and honor that commitment, honor those parts of myself.
I love that so much. And if we look at the will center, like I love the conversation of willpower or motivation, and really what I've come to terms with, whether you have the will center defined or not, it's not the energy to do, but it really is, how can I support myself so that I can be sustainable all of the time? I'm going to give you an example for this. So I'm a projector, and I really do not like when people say projectors don't have energy. I'm going to tell you, I have a lot of energy. In fact, I'm training for my first ultra, so a marathon. And a lot of people will be like, you're a projector and you work in healthcare and blah, blah, blah. You don't have the energy. And I bought into that for quite a few years. And what happened was my health, my well-being, my mental health, my emotional health, my physical health really took a dive, because I bought into the I don't have energy. So now what I'm finding is, like with the will center, for instance, I have it defined. But when you're running something like a marathon, right, you need to build capacity. You need to train for that, right? So there is a push, glide, or work, receive to that. But when you build capacity, when you build sustainability, when you stay in integrity with yourself and you know yourself, you can do whatever you want as long as you're supported, you trust that you're supported, and you build that capacity by creating healthy habits, for instance, or creating sustainability or a plan, right? Like creating a plan and a structure for you to follow, right? That is going to support you. So it's not that we, lack willpower or lack motivation. It's really, how can I build momentum and stay sustainable, whether you have a will center defined or not.
Yeah. And I love that the will center, it needs the break, but it also has this ability to really, and I have the tribal channel, the 3740, and then I have off the other tribal channel, you have the 4426. I have the 26 4 times in my chart. It's like my biggest theme. So those are the energies I have in the will center. And what I love is we think of the will center as ego and that we can be selfish, and there can be some of that, but it's also what's there to sustain you, as you're talking about. And the reality is, if you have a goal and you know you need to get there, you have to listen to what your body needs. You have to listen to what you are capable of achieving. What does your body need to fuel itself? And it's like you have to really honor and almost kind of be selfish in the sense that you got to take care of you. And that's a big part of what I see with the energies, where it is this heart space, and it's also us opening our heart to ourselves so that we sustain ourselves, and then we have more to give. We can give more to the tribe. We have more resources that we can contribute or that we can bring in, and then we get to disperse, right? It's like all of these different energies that are coming in. And I wrote in one of the books I've been in, Stop Overworking, Start Overflowing. My chapter is specifically like to this piece where I always climbed this mountain that's nearby where I live. And I always was with generators, right? I was with other people. And then the experimental side of me was like, can I climb the mountain by myself? Right? Can I get to almost 11,000 feet, get to the summit? Can I do it on my willpower? Can I do it with my emotional energy? And really, I talk about that journey. And there's such a dynamic. My dynamic's different because I have the emotions tied to it. And my will and my emotions push and pull against each other, right? Like my will center is like, we are getting to the top. And then there were times when I'm starting to get tired, and now my emotions are like, but can we just take a break? And so it's like feeling these dynamics of how the energies come into play. And the reality is, if my emotions are saying, look, I know you think you can sustain yourself, but let's just take a break. Like, let's slow down. Let's do whatever it is that we need. And to listen to these parts, honor them, so that in the end, I did have the resolve. I did have the ability. I could be in alignment with myself. I can connect to source and realize I don't actually have to pull this energy just from myself. I can tap into higher aspects of energy and be able to let that sustain me as well.
Okay, that is so perfect that you shared that, because that was the second part I wanted to talk about. That we build capacity of what it is that we're able to do, right? Like through trial and error, through practice, through building consistency, through building mastery. But with the ego center, it's I like to say my will versus thy will. And my will tells me I can't do it. It goes into the stinking thinking. It goes into the mental gymnastics. And when I run long distance races, or I get to a threshold where I truly need to surrender, I'm like, okay, universe, take the wheel. And it's amazing what happens. It's amazing that all of a sudden I have all this energy that I never had before, because I got out of my own way, which is why I love running, because it really helps me practice getting out of my head, getting into my body, and getting out of my own way, but trusting that when I hit a certain point, universe has got my back. It's going to help me, push me for those next miles, or for anything in life. And I really wanted to bring this into what like true abundance is. And it may not be the tangible 3D experiences or money or tangible things, but it's the knowing that we're connected to a universal source and that can flow through us. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So the biggest piece, we're human. We're here to be emotional. We're here to like hurt ourselves physically, emotionally, mentally, right? We're here to have all these experiences. And yet we can disassociate and we can wander into kind of the auric field, into the energies. And then we wonder why things aren't happening for us physically, right? Why am I not manifesting more of what I want? Why am I not having the money come in? Well, because we never really grounded our intentions into the physical plane and grounded it into our body, or allowed ourselves to connect to source to keep resourcing us so that we have more to give. It's like we just get stuck in the head that says, oh, well, this is what I want, and this is how it's going to happen, and this is when it's going to happen. And what we learn energetically and with human design is that's not actually how the universe flows at all. And every time we're like told to just keep pushing and forcing and initiating, we're burning ourselves out. We're exhausting ourselves. We're getting more and more frustrated. We're not connecting to this higher power that actually is there to support you all the time. Right. And so it is that dance of, we think we just have to keep giving, and then we're expecting to receive, but we're blocking it. And we're also not allowing it to come back physically in the way of security in our life, with having the house and the food and the money and the things that we actually need in this physical way, or the right relationships, or our own aspects in ourselves to really step into our own power. Maybe we're blocking our heart and we're not allowing the energy of service to come outward and inward, right? And there's so many dynamics of us blocking our own abilities. And when we get out of our own way, it's like, woo, magic really gets to start opening up and happening.
Yes. And like, it's amazing how easy it is when, and I don't want to say easy like, oh, it was so easy. It's just like effortless flow. When you're in alignment, you have a healthy sense of self-worth and self-value. You have a vision that you are grounding into your body, meaning you're preparing yourself for it, and you're holding a vision and you're allowing the universe to bring it to you using your strategy. Easy is one word, but really it's effortless flow. Like effortless flow. How when you're seeing the synchronicities and the coincidences, and you're keeping on with the plan and the preparation, and you're open to the way it's going to happen for you right? It's so amazing how juicy and how amazing it feels when you didn't actually have to do all of the things that you thought you had to do in order to fully receive.
Right. Because you already have higher powers, higher energies that you're asking to come in to bring you what it is you're desiring, whatever it is that you want. And so often it's like we send out this cloud of, ooh, I really want this. And then we say, no, I want this, and no, I want this. And then the doubts come in, or the emotions come in, or these parts of ourselves start to really like dissipate the clouds. And then we're still expecting it to rain. And we're like, oh, well, all I have is blue skies because I guess I made the clouds disappear. We don't realize we have that kind of power. We have that ability to really say, okay, if the thing I want comes in, now I have to wait. And no, you don't have to wait with like twiddling your thumbs and like, oh gosh, I'm just gonna be bored. And I know all the generator types usually are like, I don't know what to do, and I don't want to wait. No, you're manifesting faster. So actually the waiting, the duration is so much smaller. It's like, it's almost instantaneous. And again, it's you recognizing, if there is this thing, I get to wait for it to show up. And I'm always saying that the energy is like, yes, the energy comes down from source, but that's not the way we're meant to take action. We really have to let the energy that we put out come back around physically in the physical plane through our lower chakras that you get to respond to. We get invitations, we get to sit in, you get to make an instinctive decision. I get to be emotional and kind of sit with it. And when it feels so good and it's aligned, it's a yes. And now, boom, like you're making things happen. And that is you dancing with spirit, with the physical world, with whoever brought you the invitation or the thing to respond to. We are co-creating together, and we're just bringing the magic, right? And the magic's here. That's your value. So how do you quantify that on a balance sheet, and what's your net worth? Oh my God, you're I don't even know, like octillionaire. You know what I mean? It's like, how big do you want it to be? We are all infinite. And just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean that you never will, unless that's what you're telling yourself.
That is so beautiful. My last question is this: as a prosperity alignment activator, what does prosperity or abundance mean to you?
Yeah. Prosperity is this. It's you. It's inside of you. Really, you are God. You are creator. And to me, prosperity is all the pieces, all the things. So it's beyond money. It's beyond finance. It's beyond your career and your work, your health, your relationships, your spirituality. It is everything is prosperity. You are prosperity. And if there are certain things that you're like, oh, I'm not prosperous here, that's just another limitation. That just means, oh, you haven't let go of that part of yourself that was conditioned. You're still believing everybody else. And if that means you start letting go of systems that aren't working for you, you start stepping into that sovereignty piece and you proclaim what it is you absolutely want and what you are worth having.
That is so beautiful. So if anybody wanted to find you, to work with you, how can they get a hold of you?
You can find me at prosperityalignment.com. So I'm on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, and you can go to my website and book either a human design type session, consulting session. We can go into financial strategy, energetics, clearing. I'm the projector. There's healing abilities. I've got remote energy sessions. So it's kind of like the full spectrum 360 view of like what aspect is hitting you, whether it is physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. And we get to start just letting it like open up. The seed that's already within you starts to awaken and more of your prosperity starts flowing.
That's amazing. And you have a free gift that you're sharing with us today. What is that?
Yes. And I'm so excited based on our conversation. It's perfect. So the free gift, I am a contributing author in the book, The Energy Medicine Solution. And I have for you, the free gift is I've recorded the audio version of the chapter I wrote and the Hara exercise that goes with it. And Hara helps you to be in the void, in the space of intention where you are connecting to source and Mother Earth. So just as we already talked about, it's like you have to bring it into the earthly plane. You have to be connected to the cosmos. How do you do that? You'll learn through the Hara exercise and through the chapter.
Oh, that's so exciting. I can't wait to check it out. Especially since we are moving into a new quarter where we're dreaming into being now, right? Where we're going, you can't avoid the void. We're going into the void right now, which is such a beautiful place if we can really allow it to be of what it is, right? And so I'm super excited to listen to your chapter and to do the work that you're offering for us. So thank you so much for being on the Soulprism Podcast, and I can't wait to see you guys all again soon.
Bye, everyone.
So did you download your human design chart and wonder, what does this all mean? I get it. It can be super confusing when you first download your human design chart. That's why we created a short mini course called How to Read Your Human Design Chart. This is going to walk you through the basics of your human design chart, which is going to get you excited to learn even more about yourself through this beautiful system. So click the link below if you're interested in learning how to read a human design chart.